Hanaina ora everyone. I've had my morning coffee, so I am ready for a new Ælis video. I've been in the mood for grammar the last couple of videos, and today is no different, I'm afraid. But it won't be all theory, don't worry. Today's topic is also very applicable to conversation. In the past, we've already talked about function markers quite a lot. So, it's trivia time. Can you read what these root words say? Ha, la, ia, and ir. Did you get them right? Alright, next question. Which functions, roles, or grammatical cases do these prefixes mark? Let's put the grey matter to work. Topic, agent, patient, modifier. Did you get them all? Over the course of this series, I've been repeating how important it is to always mark words properly within a sentence, attaching the correct prefixes in order to know which roles the words have in the sentence. It's grammatically obligatory and makes sense semantically, right? But what if I told you that that's actually a lie? What if function marking isn't actually obligatory? I've hinted at it a few times in some of the previous lessons, but there is one specific case where you don't need function markers. More even, it's uncommon to use them and even a bit weird if you would. And that case is the one of one-word sentences. If you have a sentence that consists of one word, it's uncommon to prefix a function marker. The reason is dual and evident. Firstly, it doesn't add anything on the semantic level. A one-word sentence would usually be a topic in a larger sentence, and even if it isn't, you can usually derive from context which functions are implied. The Ælis logic argues that if there is no semantic benefit, then there is no longer a grammatical obligation to use a certain construction. This brings us to the second reason for omitting function markers: conciseness. In every one-word sentence, you simply have to say one less root word. That's one syllable less per sentence. So, omitting the function markers saves time and energy, thus speeding up conversation and making it more efficient. This brings us to the practical level. The situations where we can go without proper function marking are easy, everyday sentences. Ironically, the type of sentences that new learners would want to learn how to say first. So, newcomers to Ælis should first be aware of what function marking is and why it's obligatory, only to then learn that it's not always obligatory, and that the first utterances they'll come into contact with aren't marked for function. As a general concept, utterances become more polite and formal the longer they get. So for example, iram di ira hanaina ora la aite ya ete is a super formal way of greeting someone. In its full form, this sentence means desirable manner, optimal situation, from me to you. To be understood as, I am desirably at the cause of your situation being optimal. In everyday speech, however, we won't be so overly formal, so we sift this utterance a few times until we're left with the essence. So first, we omit the agent and the patient, and we get iram di ira hanaina ora, may the situation be optimal. From there, we kick out the desire, and we're left with hanaina ora, the situation is optimal. And finally, we throw out everything but the adjective, na ora, optimal or perfect. And this is just a standard way of greeting someone, not the grandiloquent, may I be at the heart of your optimal situation, but just, hey, hello. Na ora is actually a multi-purpose greeting. You can also say it to say goodbye, and also to congratulate someone, for any kind of occasion. Happy birthday, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, congratulations on getting a new pet, and so on. So the general idea is that the more standard an utterance gets, the more we're going to sift through what would be the full utterance and say only the most essential part of said utterance. This includes kicking out the function markers. So here's how a basic introductory conversation could go. Na ora.
Na ora sa.
Naine. The root word nai means situation, and therefore naine just means which situation. The underlying larger utterance is hanaine ya eni. You know, which is the situation that applies to you. Which is the situation you find yourself in.
Naina ira. Giira. Raine.
These three sentences can be uttered the way they are, but for extra clarity, they can also be connected with the separator marker ta.
Naina ira ta giira ta raine.
Rai means level of resemblance or similarity, so the question which similarity is to be interpreted as which similarity is there between your situation and mine. Since the question particle ne is connected to rai, this particle should also return in the answer. Rai ora, the same situation applies to me. Re tom. Re just means name, but if you put your hand on your chest while saying it, for example, then context makes it clear what you're trying to say. My name is Tom. Again, you can optionally connect the two utterances, preferably when leaving no pause in between, with the separator ta. Rai ora, tare Tom. I'm good too. My name's Tom.
Re Isabella.
Eliana ira.
Giira ta rai ora.
And this is how, even though function marking is obligatory in Ælis, we get an entire conversation that doesn't have any of the required markers. We'll usually find this type of omissions, as you can tell from the example, in situations with a swift back and forth between conversation partners, where each participant only speaks very briefly and the utterance conveys only one central idea. So the bottom line is that function marking is always obligatory, except when your utterance consists of only one word. I'd like to follow up on this with something called posterior function marking. Look at this word, Kari. It might be the Ælis version of the female given name Carrie. However, in case you happen to remember video 9, it is also the Ælis name of the country of Costa Rica. So imagine this. A man and a woman are getting acquainted to one another like in the example conversation we just saw. The woman points to herself and says Kari or Re Kari. Has she now said that her name is Carrie, or is she telling you that she's from Costa Rica? She sees the inquiring look on your face, understands the confusion, and now wants to elaborate on what she means. She would like to say either Hare Kari ya aini, to say that her name is Carrie, or Ha anoai arare Kari ya aini, to say that she's Costa Rican. But she can't go back in time to prefix a function marker to the word Kari now, can she? She's already said it. So how can she get the clarification out there without having to resort to going, oh, I'm sorry, I thought I was going to make a one-word sentence, but then I reconsidered when I saw the confused look on your face and decided it would have been better to create a two-word sentence instead. Well, she can resort to what is called posterior function marking. Kari tahayure ya aini, or Kari tahayu anoai ara ya aini. Carrie is what my name is, or Costa Rica is where I'm from. What makes posterior function marking possible is the presence of the class 1 root word iu, which means something like the previous, the preceding, the aforementioned, the foregoing. If you bind the root word iu directly to the function marker, you can indicate that that was the function marker that should have gone with the aforementioned. So iu almost functions like a placeholder, allowing you to put something you've already said in a new grammatical frame. Kari taha iu re ya aini. Carrie is what my name is. Kari tahayu anoai ara ya aini. Costa Rica is what my residence is. So should this ever happen to you, now you know that EU provides an elegant solution to your problem. And with that, I think there's not much more I can add to the topic of function marker omission. One-word sentences not only allow the omission of your function marker, but it is even advised to just kick it out and not say needless things. Keep things as efficient as they can be, without losing anything meaningful. As always, thank you for watching.